Karen, we are live on YouTube, just so you're aware. We are live on YouTube, Dennis, just so you're aware.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Cool. Talked to Mark lately. I sent you a text.
Yeah, did you get my response?
I got muted, so I didn't hear it come in. Good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
He's pretty integral. I want to keep him close.
Yeah.
Hey, Jolise. They have you driving the bus yet, Jolise? You're muted.
Chris, we're going to record this also. Can you hear me?
I said, have you learned how to drive the bus yet?
No, I haven't, but Rick is helping out.
Does he have a bus driving certification?
Van, school van.
The van. Okay. Well, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little stuff that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna take one of those little, routes, and then that driver is freed up to do something else.
That's smart. Yeah. What a mess, huh?
I know.
I mean, it's horrible.
Hello.
Hi, Karen.
I heard Dennis ask you about bus driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's got to be rough. I heard they were looking at contracting, maybe trying to find someone to contract with.
I wouldn't doubt it. I haven't heard anything. I'm
Yeah.
in my own world.
Well, I was just listening to the radio this morning.
Oh,
I think that's what they were.
yeah.
With that many people out, it's pretty.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello, Jordan.
Jordan, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Beautiful day today.
Truly.
Travel. Did you play tennis today, Jordan?
I unfortunately have not been able to play tennis since I got sick in the beginning of August.
What a bummer.
Yeah, it really has been. Mainly because my wife is working, a non-teacher job, and so she's busy till 5:30, 6 o'clock most evenings, and they are done playing tennis around 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well,
Makes sense.
Margot and I get to hang out for a couple hours without Joanna, but that also means I can't play tennis, which is okay. It's fine. It'd be nice to play though.
You just have to keep working on her skills so she's good enough to play you. Or
Exactly.
you're good enough to play her.
That's the plan. I imagine it'll be more than a couple of years though.
Yeah. It's such fun. That's a great sport. You played all your life.
Exactly. That's what I told kids while I was recruiting for the tennis team, that this is one of those things you can do for the rest of your life.
Yeah. It's a wonderful sport.
Yeah.
Hi, Pat. You're muted, Pat. He's muted on purpose. We're going to use sign language.
Yeah, I have updated emojis. I can do all kinds of emojis. Look,
Uh-oh.
I have a party,
You download a bunch of goodies?
surprise.
Or they
I got
just
this-
come automatic?
Yeah, I guess when I got this new laptop, I don't know, maybe.
Oh, cool.
Unless Zoom updated. Maybe Zoom updated. See, you got a party too. You can have a party. Party icons.
I don't know, because we also got a new computer.
Oh, did you?
My computer has a crank on the side of it yet, so there's nothing updated on it. Did anybody been out to the park lately to see the progress?
Well, I was out there, but
Sure.
I looked over and I couldn't see. I think are they working on the bridge first?
No. the ridge.
I couldn't see. I could hear that they were playing music, but I couldn't see them.
I'll give a good update, and actually, I'm glad you reminded me. I took some pictures. I'll try and get
Okay.
share to this thing here in a minute.
Okay. Perfect. So who are we missing? Mark and Tammy. So
Davey.
far. Davey too. Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, and
Is
there's
Nate,
there's two of them. Just a second.
cool. Is Nate popping in too or not?
I don't know.
Hi, Tammy. Hi, Davey.
Tammy, Davey.
Or as we call you on screen, Charity. You're muted. Charity, you're muted. I wonder if he knows that. I guess he does get the same picture we do, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yes, I do see it. I am technology challenged, so that is my wife's name. For some reason, I log in under her. So, hi, I'm Sherry.
No
I'm
problem.
sure you've been called
I think
worse.
I think it's a lovely name, Davey. I think I'd stick with it.
Unfortunately, I have no choice.
Okay. Let's see if Mark pops in and we'll be a full house. I like the job for the education recreation coordinator because the last line is and other duties that are assigned. So it's like anything goes. You
All
can't go
job
wrong when you have
descriptions say
statements like
that.
yeah, do they?
Yes, that's your catch-all.
Oh, there's Nate.
Okay, very good.
Is Mark not coming tonight?
I thought he was, but I just texted him again. I talked to him last night.
Okay, well, it's 7 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order for the Tuesday, October 6th, 2020 Joint Recreation District meeting. First item on the agenda, well, we have one absentee that we mark. First item on the agenda would be minutes from last meeting in September. Item Meyer, any questions on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, got a motion, a second?
Second.
If you're all muted, none of you can second. Every one of you are muted. Karen, and,
I'll
Chair.
second.
Thank you. And motion second, all in favor, aye. Put your thumb
Aye.
up.
Aye.
Put your thumb up. Okay, same sign. Thank you very much. Any bills? Any questions on the bills? Chris, anything unusual on the bills? Look pretty straightforward.
Oh, nothing goofy.
Yeah, okay. All right, need a motion to approve the payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills for September.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, and all in favor, aye. Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Next item is, citizens. Chris? Any communication from citizens?
No, we had not received any to date.
Okay, all right, good. And Jordan then for council. What's going on, Jordan?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. I brought up the Fred Carter Park approval that you guys did, but no motion's been made on it. I assume the law director is still writing up legal terms and everything for it. Once that happens, we'll get it through council. Otherwise, not a lot is going on park related in council. Most of the issues end up revolving around money and disbursements from COVID funds and making sure the city is running properly. But nothing especially notable for parks.
Okay, how's the revenue doing?
For the city right now?
Yes.
Actually, we're doing quite well. It seems like some of the county townships and villages don't want to accept the COVID money that is available. And so more of that is coming to the city. And we're able to use that for a variety of things. We approved a crosswalk on Main Street, right across from the Court Street from the courthouse. So there's a new crosswalk light and everything going up. Sounds like we can use some of that money for improvements in the city building. No faucet, hand washing, and things like that, where people wouldn't have to touch as much stuff. So, but it sounds like things are going pretty well financially for the city. Everything that I've looked at looks pretty normal, aside from the extra money coming in from the COVID funds.
Very good. Any more talk about completing the project at Myra? I know we're a little short. Has that ever been in discussion in general council at all? Or
No,
just been finance problem.
I haven't brought it up, and finance I don't think has discussed it yet. I think if we get to that point where we need to.
Yeah, as long as I just want to know if you've been hearing anything anybody talking about. That's fine. That's all I need to know. All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you very much. Pat, do you have anything to add from the planning commission at all, or from what's going on in the overall in the county, or is everything else, Pat?
Well, it's only the city, not the county, but.
Well, I'm at the city planning. Yeah, I'm sorry. But
So we're not down to the county yet, but anyway. But no, there's been a couple little things going. There's a meeting Tuesday night about we vacated an alley there between Hess Lumber and the building adjacent to it. And then I forget what's on the agenda for Tuesday, but it's nothing big.
Okay, good. If those of you, if you're not aware, we have one member of our board is on the city planning commission, that's Pat. So he does have some extra responsibility there, which we appreciate. Thank you very much, Pat, for that time you put in. Are you ready for the superintendent's report? We'll have a few more minutes.
You ready for me?
You ready to go? You want? Yeah, if you're ready, go.
All right, good. All right, so, all right, let's just work down the agenda here and give you some updates on where we're at with several different pieces. So, program updates as of today. Soccer is going well. We have a lot of people that are doing their best to comply with the rules. We have several people that are not. So I'm going to be sending out an email this week, just really encouraging people to do their best to comply with the rules that are in place. I see a lot of coaches that are trying hard, and I've seen a couple that aren't. So we're gonna have some conversations about them trying to comply with those rules. So hopefully we can get that to smooth out a little, but we're down to, gosh, 3 more Saturdays of games. So I think the kids are having fun. It's just a matter of, can we get people to comply as much as possible? So that's our big piece there. We're going to start some conversation on our youth basketball program. I've got I sent an email out to the schools to see. I'm not sure if we're going to have school building to use at this point. So we're waiting to see an answer on that right now. Depending on what their cleaning schedules are they going to allow us to use gym time or not? So that's something that we're still waiting to hear back from the schools on. So if that can't happen, we're going to have to get really creative. So I don't know what that might look like at this point, but we're going to start some conversations on that. Actually, I have a meeting tomorrow at 11 with the high school coaches to talk about some of the things that they've participated with us in the past. So we'll see where that goes. That's kind of where we're at right now. The only other thing, and I thought maybe we'd bring this up under new business, is conversation on Ring of Lights. We have not done anything with that, but I want to get some board input on that. So if we could put that down as an item, we'll just discuss under new business, that would be great. And then also I sent an email to everyone just before the meeting. We had a request from a group that wanted to do a drive-through job fair. And so I would also like to have that as another piece of new business to discuss at the end. And I just sent that out. It probably went out about 6:45. So if you're sitting at your computer, can check it, that's great. If not, I have it pulled up and I will share that screen when we get to that point. So just a little bit of housekeeping for the meeting as well. Budget update. We've done a really good job of staying way under our expenditures for this year. When you figure we've got a position sitting open and we didn't operate the pool. So we've definitely done our part this calendar year with some of our programming being off and whatnot to be responsible with our budget. And so I'm really proud of where we're at with that. When we look at budget update, as we look at 2021, and working with the city administration, working with see where the city auditor has to say, they are basically planning on, with a couple little tweaks, but no real change, and just kind of run through the same budget as we approved for 2020 pre-COVID. So there won't be any real growth to it, but don't anticipate any significant reduction. So I look for us to just kind of operate as we would have for 2020 is kind of what our plan will be. When I get some more insight on that, I will bring to the board what that budget looks like. But I would imagine it to be very, very much like what we had for 2020 in the initial passage. We haven't changed any of what was budgeted for 2020. We just haven't spent that appropriation with some of the changes we've made. Does that make sense? Kind of everybody understand?
Yeah, other than we had that big mower purchase in there, are we going to have another major purchase in it?
We wouldn't see that for 2021, but as far as the operating budget, we would be very similar outside of what those couple capital lines may have shown. We do have we have several projects from a maintenance perspective that we're going to be hitting real hard here right now. We have a playground install at Pat Cooksey we've been talking about for a while. I actually have ordered the safety surfacing for Pat Cooksey, and I have a concrete contractor that's going to put in our pad for us. So that project's going to hopefully be done, at least move forward with the pad by the end of this month, and then we can get the playground installed on that pad. So really excited to get that one moving forward. We are also got several pieces of concrete we're looking at. I still haven't seen the price. We're looking at the stairs at the pool that come from the parking lot down. That's an item of need. Bruner, we're waiting on the updated pricing for the pool heater, but anticipate that to be taken care of here soon. And then there's some sidewalk that we need to replace on Brown Street next to the cemetery. That's part of the cemetery, right at the cemetery building, basically. There's about 75 foot of sidewalk that needs replaced, so we're looking at that as well. Hopefully get all of those things taken care of this fall. We have had some issues from a maintenance perspective dealing with Harmon Park. So I don't know if any of you have gotten any calls. I did get a call from a citizen upset. We pulled all the picnic tables out of Harmon Park about a week and a half ago. We were having problems where every day there was another picnic table torn apart, the trash cans thrown all over the park. We've really had some challenges there. So we pulled all the picnic tables because, quite frankly, they were just trashing them. We took the heaviest duty ones and we pulled them into the shop this week, and they're the ones that have the metal frames, and they're the really long ones, so they're really heavy. It takes a small army to move them. And we went ahead and repainted those and refurbished those, got them to really good shape. Those are going to go back down to the park at the end of this week because we feel like they can handle the majority of what it was being dished out by whoever was messing with the stuff. But we got some complaints from a neighbor saying, "Oh, there's no place for me to sit now." Well, it's a tough balancing act when people are doing damage on a daily basis. So just want to make you aware of that situation, and we're trying to get it rectified so that hopefully people can take a little pride in what they have in their neighborhood park. So we've dealt with that from a maintenance perspective as well. That's kind of and then we still got mowing going and keeping soccer fields up and running and those kind of things from a maintenance perspective. And I'm just going fast. If there's something, feel free to jump in, but I do want to talk about my era and the project and where we're at with it. I have several different emails and I'm going to show you here. So if you'll bear with me for a second, let me pull up. First off, let me show you the latest design on what we're planning to do with the bridge so that everybody's on the same page. Oh, and this is perfect. Sorry. Okay, so you are seeing my screen. Can you see my mouse on the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is what was initially designed as the bridge across the stream. And what we've done, we're not going to be able to do section C, which was the boardwalk section that connected from the end of the bridge over to the next bank towards the main stairway. But what we are going to do is on the bridge, we see these two seating areas. Those are actually going to be benches built into the bridge where people can sit down there in the valley, kind of over the stream and sit in nature. So we thought that was a really good compromise budget-wise. It's a little bit of additional expense, but not nearly the cost of what we would have had to get into to try and get the whole rest of the boardwalk in. Our total change orders, including this, also including a design change, which was a doubling of the stringers on the outside for support. Our total change order falls in right about $10,000, which is well within the grant amount. So I feel really good that this project is going well. And then give me 1 second here. I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to pull up some pictures for you to look at, okay?
So is it pretty much going to do the stairs coming down and across the first creek, and then you'll be on the land again until the next bridge?
Correct.
Okay, I think that's appropriate.
It's a good balance. It's a good balance.
Yeah, because I think that path walking on the ground there is fine.
Yeah, no, it's a good area. You're right, Karen. Oh, didn't I screw that up? So as you will be able to see when I click share, so this is at the top, kind of looking down. You can start seeing the piers. And they poured the concrete in those piers today. So that's one shot. Let me find.
Are we standing up where the lodge is, looking down? Is that what that is?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Helps if I keep that up. Just do that. Like how I talk to myself when I do this? That makes
That's
it a really
right.
good meeting, doesn't it?
Talk your way through it.
Yeah, sometimes you got to.
That's right.
So this is looking from basically standing in the creek bed at the bottom of the stairs up. So you can see all the tubes that are in. The contractor really did an awesome job. I was out enough to see. They avoided every major root from all of these trees. There's one up at the top here where there is a piling right next to this tree within like 1.5 feet, and it didn't interfere with any of the main tree roots. So they really did a good job of being mindful of what we're trying to accomplish there. And then Karen here, so this is from the other side of the first creek looking back. So you see the stairs going up over here. This is the bridge, which if you're standing in the creek, we expect the deck of that bridge to be about 6 feet off of the valley floor. So it's going to be really a cool spot, as well as when you come down the stairway, when you look at, it's going to be like a walk through the trees. It's like being in a tree house. It's really a cool design, and it's coming together really well. So that's just some pictures I wanted to share with you, so you could see kind of what it was looking like. It is going well, though. I feel really good about where we're at. They did come in, and I missed it because I was in a department head meeting this morning when they actually used a boom concrete truck, pumper truck with a boom, Pat. We thought they were going to run hose. They ended up using a boom and flew it over the trees and down. I totally disappointed I missed that. That had to be just cool to see. So anyways, that's where they're at. They're hoping to get this part finalized. They're going to start, forget what the next phase was, and then head over and get the pilings in hopefully next week for the bridge section. That's the next piece of where they're going to move, because we're in a decent little weather window right now. So that's kind of the update on that. I think I've given you the rundown of everything we've looked at so far.
Hey, Chris, were they
Yes,
able to track down the lumber, all the stuff that was?
Yes. So we did have the change. Instead of using the 2x14s, we did meet with, we had some structural engineers look at it, and we're going to use, it's actually a laminated beam is what we're going to use for the stringers, and I'm not sure, possibly on the truss support, but it's a laminated beam, but it is exterior grade with actual preservative throughout the process. So everybody feels good about that, and we're going to try it. We think it might actually be a better product for us in the end if we think we can get the life, and there's 25-year warranty on it. So that's the plan as of right now. That answer that question, Pat?
Yes.
Lumber's been difficult to get, but from what we're hearing, some of the using the LVL might be better because they're all consistent, and the lumber coming out right now is so wet that they're seeing a lot of twisting and things after they get them up. So we're hoping that this holds out and actually is a better setup for us. So that's where we're at. That's the update. I gave you the pool update of where we're at with the heater, waiting on that one price to get that moving. So all in all, moving in the right direction. It feels good to be moving in the right direction on a lot of things.
How about the landscape at Play at the Peak?
Say that again, Dennis. I'm sorry.
The landscape at Play at the Peak, the grass at Play at the Peak.
Oh, yeah, that is, I really thought that was going to get shot here. I had a conversation with Jeremy, and we haven't hooked up. So I will do a follow-up on that and get you an answer on that.
Cool. Is that what you mentioned, the heater? So that's, what do you mean they're repricing it? What happened there? Did they just not have an initial price?
Well, the price we had was from a year and a half ago.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
So I was just waiting for them to update that. And
Anything in old business, how did the safety event go, Chris? You know, where they hand out the helmets, the bike and all that, did they pull that off?
there was not a bike safety rodeo this year. It would have been in the spring, and then they had looked at trying to do it because they couldn't do it in the spring. They looked at doing it during the community safety event, but just determined that they couldn't logistically pull it off.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I don't know if there's anything else from old business. Anybody have any questions about?
You keep talking away from your microphone, Dennis. We can't hear you.
Does anybody have any questions about the past, old business? Thank you. All right, we're good to go there. Okay, moving into new business, we have 3 items now: the job description, launch of that process, the ring of lights, and the drive-through job fair. Does anybody have any questions so far on the job description that Chris sent out from Tracy? How old is this, Chris? 4 years, 5 years old? Do you have any idea? This job description?
I took the one from however many years, 2015, and I made a couple little tweaks, but it was just more grammar and trying to get the best representation of what we had been doing with the position when Tracy was there.
Okay, so this was other part of Tracy's job description.
This was
right.
Exact. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
But you had mentioned though that we're going to put in here. You said a degree is preferred, but it's not necessary. Is that? So I can't remember. Did Tracy have a degree?
Tracy did have a degree, has an education degree.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, other qualifications. There's
so there's
the options there. Yeah.
I just shared it, so you can see. So we have that CPRP preferred. If we're able to get that, that's great. Which is certified Parks and Recreation professional. We're in a weird market right now where there's a lot of people that worked in the field that places had to cut back and whatnot. So it's just this is what our ideal is theoretically, but maybe that's not the best candidate. Maybe we have somebody that comes to us that doesn't have those things that's the best candidate. That's fine. That's where or equivalent combination of education, training, experience gives us the ability to do whoever is the right fit for the position. But I think, we always want to try and
Sure.
get as educated of a staff as we possibly can if they fit what we need. You know, it's
Mhm.
we also want to find the right fit, though. That's the most important piece.
Could you ask Tracy to look it over to see if she thinks some? if
Yes, I
something there
did. I did. I had her read it, and she's like, "No," she said, "I think that really encompassed it really well." And you know, there's a lot to it. There, you know, that we all have different. You know, when you only have 4 full-time staff, there's everybody has a lot on their plate. There's no doubt.
And explain the educated benefit added to base salary from the handbook again. I forget what that.
Oh, okay. Okay, give me 1 second.
If they have a degree, they get paid more than the base rate.
Correct. So if you just give me 1 second, I will find that for you.
So are you talking about the 1875 per hour is not a degreed person, or that is a degree?
So in this thing I sent you, that is the base salary, which does not reflect their education. Because the way, when we adopted our policy that we would follow the city's manual or employee manual, that's the way it's handled in there, is there's a base salary and then education gets a bump.
Is that, you mean the degree or experience?
Degree.
Wow, that's pretty good salary.
It's right in line with where it's actually less than what the start would have been if Tracy was a first year, based on what our previous numbers were.
Right, but you're talking just a high school graduate.
Correct. But that's the base. So that really, in theory, if we have a degreed person, it falls right in line then.
Okay, and that's the salary of the folks in the city buildings, non-degreed?
No, this is for this position specifically.
Okay, I'm just asking because I just did some checking myself on professional positions in like my previous job that start at $19 an hour, and you're required a certification, ongoing education, and it's a degree. So I'm like, that's pretty hefty.
Well, but
that's you know,
when you look at where our staff is and what responsibilities we're putting on these people, I feel like it's very commensurate with what we're asking. If we're comfortable with that, if the board feels like we need to adjust that down, you know, this could be where we're bringing someone in from out of town that has experience. You know, that could be what we're doing. It is really hard to pick up something like this and talk at the same time. Did you know that?
Yeah, you know, you got to give them a living wage. I mean,
yeah.
You know, 39,000 a year is, you know, if it's a principal breadwinner for a family, that's reasonable. It's a good wage, 1875. But the hours are odd. It's an odd job hour-wise. It's not a traditional job, and by any means.
So then, what is the base rate if you have a degree?
I'm almost there. I had to look it up in the manual. I apologize.
What are the benefits of continuing this position?
As far as why do we need it?
Yeah.
Because
let me speak to that real quick here, Chris.
Please.
If something happens to Chris, who's going to take over? Don't we need somebody in the office who knows the operation? Carol, you apply for the job. But you know what I'm saying? We need somebody who has a professional background so that we have coverage. You know, if important decisions need to be made and Chris is out of town or whatever, we need to have somebody in there who's a responsible, who understands the operation, who's a professional, who's a salaried person, who's a full-time person. For full-time employees for us, Parks and Rec budget of $900,000 is not extremely ridiculous. You know, I think we're operating a pretty large operation with 4 full-time employees. It's not, and we're not giving money away. It's not like we're overpaying people. We're not a corporation that's throwing their CEO big bucks. And I believe our employees work hard. I think they earn their money. But if you want to discuss not filling the position, let's have that discussion.
Julie, from my seat, it is integral if we're going to continue to offer the kind of programs we've offered and the facilities that we have. This transition where the position took on a lot of maybe what my predecessor, even I did early on, predated my era, predated the growth of what we've done in a lot of ways. And so it is just integral to have another full-time person to handle the workload. Trying to make sure everything is smooth. Our programs are as big now as they've ever been. And under this setup, we were offering more programming than we've ever offered as a department.
Hey, Chris, should we add anything in there about supporting the foundation or any of that stuff about goals for that or that person?
That's my role in theory, being as the founder, that this person doing the other things frees me up to do some of the work I've been doing with the foundation. And more of that is the goal. That's from my seat. If you want different than that as a board, then that's fine.
I think there's funds out there that we could be tapping through this foundation to help our parks department tremendously.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's one of my biggest goals. But when I'm handling programming, it just can't happen.
Right.
And I'm not saying, and the other thing is, if we find a person that has a better skill set to do those things and we need to shift, then we can shift. The things that are on my plate are the things I'm passionate about, I'd like to think, and where I think the leader of the organization needs to be at. But if the board wants to see a different direction, that's who I work for. So.
They can have some of the responsibilities.
I guess I'm looking at this when you're talking about these qualifications and such that the person has, then if we're asking for that, then the salary range should be what we're asking for. I don't understand if this is the base, why isn't this the base for this job description?
Because of the way that our system is set up. So here, I have it up now, Karen, let me give you it up. So in our employee handbook, if you have an associate's degree, you get an extra 24 cents per hour. If you have a bachelor's degree, it's an extra 72 cents. And if you have a master's degree, it's an extra $1.20. So my salary is set at a number that then my master's is in addition to that. And that's the way every other position within the city of Bellefontaine is set up. And so we have this one set up that is the same concept.
So this is based on a 40-hour week, but it's salary.
It's based on an 80-hour biweekly salary, and it's a salary exempt position. So they are not subject to overtime because of their responsibility level. It's an exempt employee, which I know you understand that, Karen, from a public perspective.
So when you say this CPRP preferred, is that an ongoing educational requirements?
It is. So CPRP preferred is just something that can give these people a leg up. I have my CPRP, Certified Parks and Recreation Professional, that is, it just shows your engagement in, and then we would welcome working with our people to go to conference and pick up education hours. Tracy would participate in, she didn't have her CPRP, but she would go from time to time when she wanted to. The invitation was she can go every year, and she didn't choose that she wanted to go every year. But that's my preference, is that they go and learn, and we want them to grow wherever they can. That's always been my.
So the idea, if we hired somebody and they didn't have that, we would want them to obtain it and continue.
I wouldn't make it a requirement, but I would highly encourage it. Absolutely.
If they want to be a professional in this field, they certainly.
Right. Well, I'm saying, and we're offering, and again, I'm looking at the salary compared to, I know what and my folks in my office also work very hard and work with a lot of challenges. And,
and I don't, I don't disagree. When I look at what we're slotting in, and you got to look at what our other people's salary ranges are
Right.
as well,
Right.
and this falls between our other two full-time people.
Mhm.
So with this CPRP item, would that bump them up above the 1875, or is that?
It's
No,
just a
I would-
preferred certification, and it's not a requirement. That's just
So that's not equivalent to associate degree, though?
no. And there are criteria to get your CPRP. You have to either graduate from an accredited university
Oh,
or have so much time as experience within a department. It's like 5 years you have to work. If you don't have if you have a degree from a non-accredited university, you have to work for 2 years before you can be certified. Does that make sense? There's like 3 criteria for
Okay.
that piece.
What were the 3 figures again for associates, bachelors, and masters?
Oh, wait, I read that wrong.
2472.
Except I read that wrong. That's if you're enrolled in a degree program. Associate's degree is 48 cents. Bachelor's degree is 96 cents. Master's is $1.30.
Wow, that's significant. 96 cents, that's $2,000 a year. Okay. That's there's some incentive there for professionals to take this job. I mean, I think it could be a living wage for a smaller town like this, for sure.
I did have the opportunity. I met
And a
with the
stepping
new.
stone for somebody else.
We do have a new Y director here in Bellefontaine at the Hilliker, and I met with him last Friday, and we had a really good discussion. And we're talking about working together and all those great things that we love to see when we have the Y and us working together and trying to maximize for our community. And that's really what our goal is that we work together to maximize and not try and duplicate. And the gentleman's name is Cody Graham, and I'm really excited for what this guy can be for our community. And we talked, but I had this on my desk, so we were talking, and I brought it up to him. He's like, no, he said, I think you got a chance to really, there's a lot of people out there looking for a good job. And he said, I think you might be really surprised what you come across. And I'm really excited to see what that opportunity is for us.
So what is this compared to our budget previously when Tracy was doing the job?
It'd be less than what our budgeted was in 2020.
Okay, and how was that changed then?
As far as
why would it be less? Just because of Tracy's years?
It was years experience, and the reality is, Karen, when we look the way that the city's salary structure is set up, that the base salary and all those things grow with every time they offer.
Right.
And quite frankly, we need to make sure anytime we're hiring a new employee that we look at those, because as the board, you guys have the ability, we can set that at whatever we need it to be. And so with a new employee, we need to reset that at what makes sense for what we think the market is today. And I feel good about where this slots this person in to our hierarchy, to our community, and to what we're trying to find in an employee and the professional we're hoping to hire.
Okay. All right. So I was just double checking that this is in our budget. It doesn't take us over what our budget had been before.
It would this would bring us in under what our budgeted amounts were for 2020.
Okay.
By
2020, what about 2019? Because Tracy wasn't.
It was what was budgeted though, because that was the last budgeted year, full year with what Tracy's salary would have been.
Okay.
At the 30, we're talking as much as $6,000 less than what we would have budgeted for 2020.
Okay.
If it's the bottom end, if it's a bachelor's degree, then it's $4,000 or so less. So, it's still less no matter what we do.
The second part of that would be how we want to proceed.
So, is that all right if I?
Go ahead.
Okay. So if we're comfortable with the job description, what I would like to do is look at getting this job advertised as early as sometime this week. I would do that locally just through a classified ad for the position. And then I would also put it on the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association website as a job posting. That is the main clearinghouse in our state. The other question would be, if we feel like we want to stretch further than just the state of Ohio, then we would probably want to look at the National Parks and Recreation Association also has a career section. So those both have fee. I think the Ohio OPRA one's $50 for as long as we want the post to run. I don't know what the NRPA one is, but I would guess it's right in that same ballpark. And I think well worth that exposure, depending on how far we want to try and reach out. I for sure want.
I'm sorry. Do you think using Indeed would not reach who we want?
It may.
That's free. You can do that for
that's
free.
fine. The OPRA one to me is important, and we can use Indeed as well. Outside of going to the national one, I don't have a lot. We could do Indeed or something like that. If you know, that's fine with me. I'm sure a lot of people are looking at those things.
Well, if we don't get suitable candidates with those first two, local posting in the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association, then we'll have to pursue more candidates by expanding our search. We're not locked into having this person start January 1. We can play a little bit. I know ideally you want somebody as soon as you can to get ready for the spring season, but
and it would very well be that person that we need is in our backyard. And if that's the case, that's great too. I don't want to come across that I'm saying I want to bring somebody from outside, because I just want us to be open to whatever is the best candidate to make us the best department we can be. That's really what my goal is.
Okay. Now, the other thing about that is how many people are willing to sit down and go through all these applications to weed them out?
Well, I would love to have the board be a part of this process. If there are people from the board that would, I don't want to, I would love to have, if there's people who would like to commit to the process of being on a hiring committee, I would love to bring in as many of you who would like to do that.
It'd be really a nice in the beginning, especially when you have all this pile of applications to sort them out, take a pile, look through them, draw out your candidates, discuss those, and then come up with the ones we want to interview. And then, we'll probably be doing a Zoom interview. There's no reason why all of you can't participate, at least initially. So if we decide to interview several candidates, we can do it Zoom, then we can bring them in personally to do the finalized selection, and that way we can make it easier for us. But sometime down the road, we need to do a mano to mano or woman to woman. I'm sorry, that's a bad expression. We just need to get them in face, so we can actually, get a better feel for them.
I agree. I think a first interview through a Zoom platform or something works great, and it gets us a great opportunity to start conversations. And then if we come down to, if it's just bring one in because we think that might be the one and to meet with them, or bring a couple in, that's fine. But I feel, yes, that's exactly what I was thinking as well, Dennis.
Yeah,
you can do that if just a couple of you are doing the interview, then that's easier done. So we don't need to have everybody at the table.
No, but I like to see them listen and make, form opinions. They don't necessarily have to ask the questions. That could be by the facilitator. But would be nice if everybody could, at least listen in.
Is there, I guess my thought was, and Dennis, you feel free, you're the president of the board. If there's some people that would really like to be a part of this process, that we can have a core group of, and then put out for anybody that wants to jump in for the other. But I'd love to have a core group identified of this is who is working on this task as a committee.
Well, how about this? How about if we get our applications and we get our pile, we get together, we sort them out, and then we'll see who wants to go to the next step, because everybody's life changes day to day. Nobody can commit to something long, down the road, months away. And does that sound logical? And we'll just take it. And then from that point, we'll sort them out, and we'll make the next move at that point. That make any sense? And that way we can figure it out, as we go. Instead of setting it down in cement now, we don't know what's going to happen. We could have 150 applications. We have no idea.
So that's true, man. I'm sorry. That's funny.
What kind of time?
Well, that would be amazing.
No.
The timetable in my mind was we would advertise in October. So as I look at the calendar today, if we had it advertised by the end of the week, I would say we'd like to have applications in by I probably just give it the full 3 weeks. So by Friday, the 30th of October, we'd want applications in, sort them out beginning of November, try and get some interviews scheduled middle of November. If we need to do a final interview, maybe the very beginning of December, and then ideally have somebody in place in January is kind of that's what's playing in my wheels in my head. And I take whatever input is out there as well.
Are we required by code or law if how many of us together at the same time, that kind of thing, like commissioners and council people and all that stuff?
We are required if we're going to have a meeting and have any action. If we were to have a bigger,
in terms of the interview or even selection, are 3 people allowed or 4 people?
There wouldn't be a rule. If we were going to gather more than 3, we would have to call it a meeting, at which point we would go into executive session. So, and we would call the meeting for the sole purpose of interviewing candidates.
Then we got to be aware of notices and all that stuff for that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is a 48-hour notice.
Yeah.
So I would think we could come up with that if we felt like we needed it.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I'm thinking when we interviewed you, I think there was only a couple of us that did the interview. It was not the entire board. Was there 3 of us?
I know that there were.
I think there was 3 of us. Plus
Ed and Carol, Barnwell, and Fred, and I thought you, Karen.
Yeah, I was there. I don't remember Carol.
Carol was not. I thought Carol was, but that could have been just. I don't remember, and I didn't go back and look. So
yeah.
What about Ed Wallace? Was he been?
It was Ed. It was Ed and Fred and Karen for sure.
Yeah, so I think there was the 3 of us. And I can't remember if Biff sat in.
Biff was there ex officio, just
right. He was there. He wasn't right. Yeah. So I think there was 3 of us. So that's how we handled that.
Okay.
Well, let's get the application, see what comes in, and do some sorting and make our next move from there. And then
do you need a motion for that?
Well, do you want a few people? Well, when the time comes, a few people to help you go through the applications. Is that
absolutely? We will.
I'm willing to do that.
That's what I'm thinking. If there's a lot of applications, we sort them out, come up with our favorites. Exchange information.
What I'd like to do.
I'm saying,
man, your internet is so good, dude.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Yeah, Dennis, you need to quit moving around.
To watch TV downstairs.
All right. So, what I'm here, Karen, is as we get closer to that 30th date, October 30th, that we'll look at scheduling a work session time for whoever can come in, and we'll just have a process. We'll set up in city council chambers, probably with a mask on or socially distanced, and work through the pile and try and get at least some semblance of sorting to it, and then go from there. Does that make sense?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And do you want a motion for this timeline or not, or does it matter? That's what Pat's question was.
We need a motion.
Say that again, Dennis, because
I said, do we
need a motion for any of this action?
I think we should do a motion to just adopt this job description just to make sure, because I did make a couple tweaks to it, just so that if everybody's comfortable with it, we approve it. And then from a hiring schedule perspective, I think we just needed to talk about that and make sure everybody was comfortable with that. I don't think we need a motion for that schedule.
So we don't need a motion to advertise?
You can do a motion. Let's do a motion for advertising and how long we're going to advertise. I think that would be good to do as well, just so that if anybody goes back and looks, we have the record of that.
Okay. So I'll move we advertise, and as we discussed, advertise for the new position.
You know that, Carol? Did you? Okay.
Was that how long were we advertising?
From let's say from October 7th through October 30th, because that's tomorrow through the end of the month.
Wow. Okay, that's a long time. Okay.
Well, I figured by the time we get it up, it might not be hit anywhere till Friday. So
30th to Friday.
So Pat made a motion to follow the timeline that we discussed and the job description as we have stated. We need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion second, all in favor, aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No, opposed should be this way. Shouldn't it? We'll do it. Good. Well, exciting. It should be interesting. Pumpkin walk.
So the
Not walk, but ring of lights.
oh, Ring of Lights. Okay. So Ring of Lights would have been is scheduled on paper somewhere for October 24th. I have concerns with us being able to do Ring of Lights as we've done it the last, let's call it 5 to 10 years, where we're getting as many as 1,000 people in the park, and to organize that in a fashion that's socially distanced and follows protocols, I'm not comfortable with. But I also want to make sure the board was comfortable with me saying that we don't think this makes sense. I didn't want to, this is something we've done for 20 some years. It's something that people want to see, but I am nervous as the superintendent of trying to do this in a socially distanced world.
Can I ask what the schools are doing? Have you had any discussion what you guys are going to do at the school level for Halloween? I know they've had costume parades and things in the past. Are they doing anything anymore? Or is that in the past?
The middle school doesn't do that at all.
Okay, middle school does nothing. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Intermediate doesn't do anything.
Okay, Julie, so you know anything
I
about?
haven't heard anything from kindergarten world.
Okay, all right. So we really don't have any precedent there. The pumpkin walk was well attended in town Friday night. I don't know about Saturday night, but Friday night was packed.
It was very crowded both nights.
Both nights.
The difference being, though, there's not a starting point and a huge gathering in one spot, and that's I've been trying to run through how do we do this differently, and I can't come up with the right solution that allows us to do it. Start in all these different places. I don't know how to coordinate it and make it work right.
And all the mayors have agreed to have Halloween this year, correct?
They're scheduled for trick or treat on Saturday, October 31st from 3 to 5 in Logan County.
There can't be like some sort of registration type thing where we limit how many people can come. I know there's already an age cap on there.
There is an age cap, but the problem being, we would often see 6 or 8 grandparents and parents, and it had just grown to so big. We used to do registration, and it became such a big event for us to try and register for that, and we don't have our other person in the office right now, and so I just don't know how we could make it work. I guess we could try and make that happen if we want to set a cap on it and try and make it work, and set up a registration place.
Are the stations just on the walkway as you go around? So
Correct.
Are we using the fields at all? I mean, that would spread them out more.
The problem would be in the dark. How do we do it? Because typically we use the lights as our points of.
Oh, that's right. So it's dark. That's why we call it the ring of lights.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking it was daylight.
No,
Yeah,
Karen, I know what you're saying, and we could look at that as just do it.
Can we do drive-throughs with all of the different parks and have everybody stay in their vehicles?
Just go to the parking lot.
Is anybody actually?
I mean, I'm just thinking that you have high school kids that are still trying to do service hours. They're still trying to do Key Club and Agape. They're still out there wanting to do these things, not just from Bellefontaine, but from the county schools. Open that up, have people come out to the different parks. Honestly, it's going to be outside, which Dr. Hadnot is a huge fan of.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Things. Continue encouraging the wearing of masks, and I mean, you can't force anyone, but encourage, hey, just keep it to small amount of family as possible.
Well, if you did divide them up and you were in different parks, that would spread them out.
If you get something out to the
Yeah.
schools, could like Ben Logan be in one, Bellefontaine be in another, Riverside?
We typically
They could
only
be like a
advertise, we've only
host.
typically
I don't know
advertised.
how we supervise that. How can we cover all the parks? I mean, we're making another big basket of things to open up and they have to get logistically figured out and done. And, we're short staffed and so hopefully it's just all flash in the pan, one shot deal. I personally think, we should just vote on whether we want to pull it off this year like we always have or not. And
Well, I think we're saying we don't think we can do it like, I think we're saying we can't do it like we've always done it. But is there another way to do something?
Would,
Is what we're looking at.
Chris, didn't you quit putting, we don't put tables out anymore, right?
Correct. We had the people hand out, the people brought their own chairs to hand out, and that worked well, and that was much better. I did just see the recommendation came out of Hardin County for how they're going to do trick or treat in Hardin County, and their guidelines were excellent. But it was make sure everybody, all the groups stay socially distanced and that. And so there's some great opportunities here. I'm just trying to figure out how to logistically manage it all. And I haven't come up with the right answer yet. And so that's why I appreciate your guys' input and the ideas that are coming out.
Yeah, but who are the groups that usually set up? I mean, are they so familiar with what they're doing that they could set up in a different park?
I would think we may be able to coordinate something that's a drive-through style. I think that's interesting that we might be able to do something like that. And we might be able to work with some smaller groups. I'm just trying to figure out.
Hey, Chris, what about Southview's got more mileage or more miles?
You can enter, exit.
What if you move it to like 4 to 6 versus night?
Yeah, and the nights, the biggest challenge to me is the starting point and getting it started and getting people spread during that time. That's when we have a pile of 1,000 people standing there waiting to start the thing.
Well, that's a good thing about Southview. It's got all the spread out in the parking lot too.
Correct.
Yeah.
During the day. Have you fired the lights up at Southview lately?
Yeah.
Parking lot lights, okay.
But
I think
the police department had their safety event. I mean, there's been things in the community that are much bigger. I mean, I think we just need to think outside the box a little bit.
I agree, and I agree with you. It's the start point, and everybody shows up at that start point, and how I'm just trying to coordinate. I'm with you, Jolise, and there have been a lot of great events, and there's going to be other ones. Please, Carol, speak up. You got to hit mute.
You got to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Carol.
Doing it.
There you go.
I think you had it. Anyways, my thought when they're registering, we're going to have people show up that are not registered. What do we do with those people? Do we turn them away?
Yeah, that's why we gave up registration, because it became too big of a challenge.
Yeah, I don't know that registration is going to work if they are familiar with coming, but you're talking about Southview, that might be a better location because
you're talking walking instead of driving through, because I thought about driving through Southview because you could enter in one entrance and go out the other entrance. We'll back up traffic at 11. We have to have police, obviously to, manage the traffic. But
how hard would it be to set up like the ring of lights at Southview and at the high school with starting points at both ends? That way you got 2 big parks being used, 4 different starting points.
I think we need limits at one park for.
I'm just trying to think through, because it's all the volunteer groups or who hand out, and we haven't started that process yet. So that's I'm also behind the eight because I didn't start any of that. If the desire is to try and have something happen, we'll see what we can make happen. I guess that's the bottom line, and try and get creative and see what we can do.
Yeah, and if I think it's easy, if it's easier to do it in the daylight, then I would do it in daylight rather than night.
See, at that time, daylight, dark would
That's when the
be,
Buckeyes kick off, right?
well, they're a noon game.
On the 24th.
Yeah, it's a noon start.
So that would be a good way to get people to not show up.
There you
That's the
go.
That's the first game.
Or at least slow down how quickly they
How
show
quickly
up.
they show up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, the other thing, maybe we'll try, and here's what we'll try and do. We will try and do a split alphabet start time and try and do an late afternoon, like one at 4 and one at 5 for split the alphabet, and see if we can manage it that way, and put out a bunch of press on. And I think the important part is it has to be the preschool through second grade. We'll send the flyer home to Bellefontaine Elementary and to the preschools, and do that, and then just split the alphabet and say we're gonna. I'm a half tempted to say masks required, just from because of the number of people. I don't know.
Is it normally a 2-hour event?
No,
Or is it
normally we
longer?
run it in about, it runs up. We start at 7 and we're usually pulling out of there about 8:30 cleaned up, or 8:15. I mean, it goes pretty quick, but that's the other part of it. We start it and they just go, and we've never throttled the spacing or anything. And that's what I was just nervous about, it being just a big glob. And
Yeah, you won't get as many grandparents and things this time, but.
and we'll encourage
Right.
less. We'll try and do that through our flyer. So,
I think you'll have less groups participate too.
well, yeah.
So do you think 45 minutes for each half then?
I think it'll work, because the reality in my mind is and maybe we just say the start time's 45 minutes different. We get the first group started, the other people can come and start. We can also start them as they come.
I have another suggestion.
Yes, Karen.
What if you did the drive-through, but you used the fairgrounds
Mm.
and are in like Main Street exit? I mean, you could drive through it in different spots and then exit over by the high school.
That's a thought.
Might be able to pass off on Fair Board for some volunteers too, then.
Yeah. Oh, I see a heart by Jolise.
I can explore that. Let me.
That's kind of a great idea.
Let me talk to
That's
Christy
a
Barnes tomorrow.
fabulous
Maybe we
idea,
can make that
Carol.
go.
Thank you.
There's
Really take care of the
there's
social
the
distance.
track right there,
Yeah.
and
There's a lot of
entry
options
and
there. There's a
exit.
lot of
It'd
drives.
be
We could make
easy for
that
the
work.
police department to help with Lake Avenue,
Well, you just
and that's
You just
tunnel.
enter off a lake. You enter them off a lake. You
You
loop around
exit
somewhere and
right
stop
on the
out
turn on
on.
Main Street.
No, out the other.
Harding. Harding.
Harding.
Well, that's why you could enter even on Main Street, which takes you even further.
Well,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
what I
problem with Main
meant,
Street
yeah.
is you end up backed up onto Main Street, and that causes a problem.
Lake would be good enough.
Come in on Lake, we can loop them back towards
Loop
Main
around,
Street,
yeah.
and then out Harding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. That's a good idea. Let me see if the Fair Board will be on board with doing something like that. We could make it a joint venture, and I can count on you all to volunteer. Is that correct?
I want to charge $2 a car.
Oh,
Would you say?
Um,
No, I heard. Never mind.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I like it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that.
Um,
That's what I was looking for, was a brainstorm on how do we make this work, or don't do it, because I was struggling, obviously. Thank you. I needed that.
Good thing you're here, Carol.
All right, the drive-through job fair would be the last thing on new business.
Could you give us the details again? I didn't.
I am
write it
gonna
up on my email.
show you this in a theory right now. So this is it's called Creative Business Innovations. As you can read here, we're a staffing agency for a Tier 1 Honda parts supplier in East Liberty. They're requesting permission to host a small drive-through jobs fair at Maritime Park in Bellefontaine on Friday, October 16th from 1 to 4.
Is it a real organization? I've never heard of it.
Well, they're based out of Powell. It's a staffing agency.
Are they in town now? They have an office in our town. What's the name of the staffing agency?
Creative Business Innovations. No, they do not.
We have 3 staffing agencies at least in Bellefontaine.
I understand. A lot of their employees that work through them are from Bellefontaine. They have a contract for one of the Tier 1 Honda parts suppliers. That's what I can tell you.
So tell me again what they want to do.
They want to have a job recruiting event, basically a drive-through jobs fair for this particular entity in Rutan Park from 1 to 4 on Friday the 16th. Using the pool parking lot would be my.
Okay, and it would be to be employed by their company?
To be employed, well, they're a staffing agency, so I think they'd be employed by a staffing agency to work at this parts supplier. That's typically how that works, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, I didn't know if they were trying to find them jobs or if they actually had a location they're wanting to
No,
hire someone
they
first.
have jobs they're trying to get filled, is my assumption based on the market.
Okay.
Is
All right.
there a better spot for it?
Well, when they first reached out, they asked about doing it at Fred Carter Park. That shows you how much they understand our facilities.
Yeah, wouldn't Southview be better?
From 1 to 4 on a Friday, the pool parking lot for what they were talking seemed to make sense. One, because they can get there off of 33 pretty easily for me, because I started mentioning other things and they're like, well, where's that at? And it was just, yeah, they'll do it wherever we tell them. So
how about roadside park?
The parking lot seems fine, but where are they going to be employed?
I don't know. It's a Tier 1 Honda parts supplier. You know as much as I do.
Okay, so
I'm
somewhere
thinking
through
about
Honda.
I'm thinking
East
about
Liberty.
I'm thinking about all the
Even
activity.
if they
at the
have
park,
it there,
disc golf
even if
and
they do have it there is a serious lack of the workforce. Every manufacturer from here to Indian Lake to Marysville are severely understaffed and they cannot find anybody. I doubt that they're going to have a big turnout there at Marytown Park.
That's my expectation as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Marytown's just easily known by the community. If they're trying to, that's why I said that. But
yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I want to do that.
They're trying to be creative, that's for sure.
Yeah, trying to get people jobs. It's okay.
Oh, and if it's people in Bellefontaine getting a job and they pay income tax, then we win.
I'll make a motion to approve the job fair at Marytan Pool Parking Lot, October 16th, 1 to 4.
The motion for job fair, second by Davey. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. All right, very good. Any other items of business or do you want to readdress anything we've talked about? Okay, well, we still have a lot of questions up in the air, obviously. Let Chris explore the ring of lights and we'll see how the applications come in as far as the job posting. And from there, we'll be able to make some more decisions. Do we want to give Chris the authority to go ahead with the ring of lights if he comes up with some sort of a solution?
Yeah, I would be fine with that. Any motion? We might want to call it something else if it's daylight. Just saying.
The ring.
But anyway, a Halloween event.
haven't we already approved it? Is it already approved, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's something.
It's one of our, we don't necessarily approve it every year. It's just something we normally do.
Yeah, so.
I just wanted input from the board on it to make sure everybody was on the same page as much as.
All right. But I mean, sure.
That's good.
Do whatever you want. Yeah. So if the fair board's on board, then we should be okay.
All right. We'll see what we can come up with. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that input. Carol, great idea.
Thank you.
She's a keeper.
Well, I encourage you to try to get out to Meyer while the weather's nice and take a look at what's going on. You can You can get to the bottom of that hill pretty easily by just walking down where that outdoor play park was. What's that called again, Chris? Where they put up the logs and things?
Nature play area.
Nature play area. If you go down there, there's a path that
There's a
leads
pump
down.
where the pump
bottom.
is. That's where you want to walk.
You can do that, or you can come in from the back off the lake and come down the main trail and turn off like you're gonna go.
Right, by the tree houses, go down the tree houses, and then go to the second right, and they'll take you right
And if anybody's heading out or anybody wants to go out and see it at any time with me, just let me know and I'll try and do my best to make a time to meet you out there if you want to take a look at it.
Okay, I need to find that geosync pond again. I've never been able to find it.
It's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
It's intentionally hidden, Karen, so that people don't go in and ruin it. I don't think I could find it if I tried today. I knew where it was at one point, but
We all went there that one time and I've never been able to get back to it. I can't find it.
because it's not on trail and everybody's supposed to stay on trail.
Any other items of discussion? We need a motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn or second.
Tammy, motion. Karen, seconded.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Hi.
Oh, same sign. Thank you very much.